It was 2006. I was hoping to have a crown placed on my head on the big stage. My parents, a charter bus full of friends, and my new boyfriend were waiting in the audience, waving flags that said, "Cheese Elise," with a huge exclamation point. I was one of 12 finalists running for Minnesota's favorite dairy mascot, Princess Kay of the Milky Way. I wanted to win the opportunity to represent Minnesota dairy farmers for an entire year. I didn't win, but I earned the skills and knowledge and gained lifelong friendships that helped me develop my skills for creating great cheese and implementing my passion for working with the dairy industry. 10 years in, I am now a co-owner of Gerlinde Farms, Redhead Creamery, and our new distillery, Redhead Creamery Spirits. I'd love to tell you how we got there, why we do what we do, and how you can support other locally produced, great tasting foods in central Minnesota. At least in part, my great-great-grandpa Wilhelm and Grandma Magdalene moved from Germany because she was a school teacher and therefore could not marry. It was believed that teaching was more important than marriage and producing more children. After World War II, 2 generations later, America was clearly the breadbasket of the world. Farmers were told to plant fence row to fence row, utilize all the latest technology, and drain the wetlands to maximize food production. Farmers were often exempt from being on the drafts or entering into the war because food production was ultimately just as important as defending land or territory. This is how my grandparents, my parents, and I were raised. I'm a student of Norman Borlaug, the leader of the Green Revolution. He was a student of the University of Minnesota, an agronomy major, and later a Nobel Peace Prize winner. Meeting him was a highlight of my life, and I was hooked on wanting to achieve his goal of helping feed the world. He helped adapt wheat to adapt to the climates and soil of Pakistan, Mexico, and India. If these cultures could not produce half the yields of what Americans could produce, billions would die. Through technological advancements, he helped save their lives instead. I think we all want to be of service. My father wanted to be a priest after the urging of his grandpa Matt. After learning that hanging out with my mom was not the duties of priesthood, he decided to do something else of great service. As a young dairy farmer, he decided that farming and food production would be a worthy goal. My mother and father started dairy farming at really the hardest time of subsidized agriculture. When I came around, it was the most difficult time for farming to even occur. High interest rates and subsidies being removed changed their entire business plan. They had to hold at least one full-time off-farm job from 1983 to 2002 in order to survive. When I was born, somewhat unplanned, it was terrible financial timing for my parents. My mom had to take us to the food shelf in order to feed her family. She tells me it was humbling, stressful, and embarrassing. But eating was so much more important. When we moved to farming and wanting to be of service, we learned that my parents ended up becoming mini Norman Borlaugs. My dad helped farmers work with their animal genetics in order to produce high protein yields in order to have more cheese production, which equaled higher income. He was awarded as the best genetic salesman in the country. My mother was selected as, or she actually was a great salesperson for helping farmers produce more milk with less feed. She was elected as the Minnesota chairperson for the National Dairy Promotion Council. Through their knowledge and hard work, they were able to modernize our dairy and improve with a new building in 2002. A few years after that, I was able to go on a trip on the National 4-H Dairy Conference. This is where I learned how to make cheese on a farm and artisan cheese. What if we could produce better tasting, higher priced cheese instead of more? Upon coming home and telling my parents about my new dream, they laughed. Not because they didn't support me, but because we were dairy farmers and we knew nothing about making cheese. In and after college, I learned about marketing. My husband and I moved to Vermont in 2009 for his job working with dairy farmers. We lived in the southeast corner of the state, 2 hours from Boston and 4 hours from New York City. People vacationed where we lived. And they had a totally different perspective on food. They were willing to pay more for great tasting, specially made foods. Nothing like we'd seen in Minnesota at the time. At the same time, my husband and I got to love the New England artisan cheeses, craft beer, and fine wines. Besides, we were just married and didn't have any other friends to hang out with. We knew and sought the opportunity to make cheese at our home farm, knowing that Alice Waters, being disciples of this woman, a chef from California, and a cookbook author, she believed that slow food and farm-to-table menus would save the nutritional needs of our world. Minnesota was about 10 years behind, but I'm sure you've heard these terms before, and that's where we sought the opportunity to serve a whole different market by making cheese right on our farm. We then decided in 2014, after visiting about 50 other dairy plants, that we would build our own cheese plant. Now, with over 10 years of experience, we provide dairy farm tours, throw an annual Curd Fest event, deliver cheese from Minneapolis to Fargo, and we ship cheese all across the country. We are able to produce a dairy farm with cheese making, and due to the help and success of our employees, we were able to win national, state, and international awards, and we are very grateful for our team. We'd be nothing, though, without our customers buying our Little Lucy Brie, our Lucky Linda cheddar, our Margie cheddar, our Henry's Havarti, and Barbarian, all named after family members, especially that last one, after my son Conan. It very much fits him. We want to produce a food that makes people happy and that makes them feel good about what they're consuming by telling them the story of what we're doing. So, by trying to squeeze every little last bit out of what we do in the long days of cheese making, we decided to start making spirits on our farm. We are able to take the sugar from milk, from lactose, convert that to alcohol, and then in turn turn that into fine spirits, which isn't bad for a couple that met because they failed chemistry in college. We welcome the opportunity for our customers to come to our farm and experience what it's like to live on a dairy farm, to work on a dairy farm, and eat the food that was created right on site. So we do produce artisan cheese, but we also send 90% of our milk to an additional cheese company called Bongards Premium Cheese, which we own with 200 other dairy farmers. So whether you're eating artisan Redhead Creamery cheese or nacho cheese flowing from a fountain, you're still eating cheese from milk produced at our farm. So which one's better for our community? We need both. Both are essential for feeding the 8 billion people on this planet. Norman Borlaug was right. Alice Waters was right. We need both mantras in order to improve our world. As farmers, my family is dedicated to producing healthy, safe, and ridiculously good tasting food. Thank you.